Hello all YouTubers, I am the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for tuning back into this weather presentation hurricane season discussion for June 20th, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, I would ask that every single one of you please smash that subscribe button and ring the bell notifications. Thank you guys so much for 600 subscribers. Let's get to our next goal of 700 subscribers and to our next long-term goal of the big 1,000. So please smash that subscribe button and ring the bell notifications, as well as watching the whole video. Both of these things really do support my channel, and watching the whole video, it's a win-win. You get the best weather content and I get the watch time, which I really do need for my channel. And please also like and share this video. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. So in today's video, we're going to be doing another hurricane season discussion for 2020 hurricane season, as well as our obviously this is our 11th hurricane discussion and the signs of a potentially hyperactive 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. All right, so let's get right into it. The latest maps here from the Bureau of Meteorology. We're going to be first talking about the Nino 3-4 region. All right, so for July, all right, what some of the models are thinking that we can get pretty close to La Nina. All right, look at the Bureau of Meteorology model, which is the top model here. Even down to the JMA and the media models, as well as NASA and NOAA, are usually the more aggressive models. All right, but all the models are right now for July in more of a what we call negative neutral. All right, in terms of our Nino 3-4 region here. Obviously, again, this is El Nino. Right here, to be specific, this is what's called positive neutral. This is negative neutral, and this here is La Nina. Obviously, I have to explain it just in case we have some new viewers here. But in all, this center part is called neutral in general. But if you want to be really specific, this is positive neutral. That's negative neutral if you want to be really specific. But either way, the white zone is neutral. And again, by Australia standards, negative 0.8 is La Nina. And in American standards, it's negative 0.5 in terms of the sea surface temperature anomaly. So by American standards, a few of these models are already in the La Nina phase already. All right, so this is why, with that absence of El Nino, and we're going to have a neutral to a La Nina pattern, which is why we can have a very active season. And if we look at August here, look at the European, the CanSIPs, the Bureau Meteorology models getting pretty close to La Nina, if not there already. NASA and NOAA are already there. The UKMO model is sort of sitting there. And at the bottom, this is the average of all the models, which is what I really like to look at. And that is sitting at about 0.6 degrees below average, which is, by American standards, a La Nina. But of course, it does have to be there for a decent amount of time to make it official that we've actually had a La Nina. For September, all right, you can see the UKMO, the NASA, NOAA are all in La Nina by Australian standards, as well as the Bureau of Meteorology model at this point. But pretty much all the models are by American standards in a La Nina, except for JMA and Meteo. All right, but this is just September. Obviously, this is the most active month for hurricanes here. And October, another month where it can be pretty active. All right, we're still gonna have high confidence indicated by the models that we could have a La Nina by November. I mean, pretty much every single model by American standards is in a La Nina pattern by American standards, except for JMA. Obviously, by Australian standards, a few models are still lacking behind, but you can just see that the growing confidence that we're going to be seeing either close to La Nina or a La Nina. You can see all the models here indicate 0.75 degrees below average, which is, for a Nino 3-4 region, that's pretty significant. All right, so pretty close to La Nina. So that's something we're gonna be keeping our eyes on. Here's the spaghetti models too, to kind of show you guys. Obviously, they're called spaghetti models because they're all loopy and so they can go in different directions. In case you guys are wondering about that, but we could be dropping into a La Nina by September. That's what the sum of all these spaghetti models means. That's what the green line is. We could even be in a La Nina. I wouldn't even be surprised by the end of August, third week of August, according to these models. Some model, like a lot of model, has a high confidence of a very close to or at a La Nina. Not as many of the models really keep it as a neutral phase. Not many models really do that. Or even some models actually dip it to La Nina in September and then back up into November. If we could have a neutral pattern for the wintertime, that'd be pretty cool because obviously where I am in eastern United States, a La Nina winter is just the blah winter. And the East Coast has just had the most disappointing winter last year, so I hate to see that repeat itself. So hopefully you can get back into ENSO neutral pattern at least by the winter time. But for now, we're going to talk about the late summer into the fall we're going to be likely dealing with either a close to La Nina, like an ENSO neutral, or even a La Nina. Here are the probabilities. All right, so obviously right now for July, even though it's negative 0.5 degrees below average for the month of July, as you can see here, it just got there. So it's not like as soon as it touches 0.5, it has to be La Nina. It has to be there for a certain amount of time. It's got to plunge a little bit more. So neutral probabilities are still 96% now, and I definitely do agree with that. And you'll see why in the charts later on in the video. But only 4% chance for La Nina. But before I move on, I just want to say that, look at this. There's no chance of El Nino. Again, this is what's going to make the season active. Less dry air, less shear, all things that can really tear apart hurricanes. Even some warmer waters as well. By August, things start to turn around a little bit. All right. Neutral chances are still over near 82%. We got an 18% chance of a La Nina. So we start to drop a little bit, but we really made the big jump to a La Nina by September, when we are negative 0.9 for September, October, and November. 0.9 degrees below average here. All right. And as for September, our La Nina chances go to 60%. That's when we have our highest chance of La Nina here, according to the Bureau of Meteorology. Our chances do slack off, but still staying pretty similar, anywhere from 55 to 60% chances for La Nina from September all the way through November. And if it's not a La Nina, if we don't have a La Nina, it's going to be a neutral. All right, those are the two options, either La Nina or neutral. Definitely 100% chance, 101% chance, not an El Nino, at least for the summer and early fall. All right, so again, looking at July, we're 0.5 degrees below average. We're going to 0.6, at least to this version, by September. And by November, negative 0.7. Obviously, my next hurricane discussion, my 12th hurricane discussion, is going to have a lot more updates on this. So definitely want to stay tuned for that. So please do, again, ring the bell notifications if you haven't already. But looking at the sea surface temperature anomalies here, the latest, and when we had Cristobal move through the Gulf of Mexico, that still left a little cooler air in its wake. But the East Coast has really been cooling down, and the sea surface temperature anomalies have been cooling down, but still they're actually decently warm. And that's where our tropical disturbance is actually right now. So if you want to check that video out on the top right corner of your screen, please do, appearing now after this video. Now, as for the Caribbean, we are definitely above average for the Caribbean, as well as parts of the Western Atlantic here just north of the islands. Even the Bay of Campeche, southwestern Gulf of Mexico, we're actually running a little bit above average right now, which is good news, at least for developing tropical cyclones. All right. If we look at our sea surface temperatures, like the actual sea surface temperatures, the whole entire Gulf of Mexico, we're finding ocean temperatures of at least 28 degrees Celsius, which is pretty warm. 28 degrees Celsius translates to about 82, 83 degrees Fahrenheit, which is plenty warm enough. So was 29 degrees Celsius. All right, it's only June. We're running well above average in some areas. Other areas of the Atlantic, not so much. All right, but look at just south and just around Cuba here. We have 30 degrees Celsius. That's like about the upper 80s, about 87 degrees Fahrenheit, which all you need for a sustainable tropical cyclone, or actually for a sustainable hurricane, is 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Even a tropical cyclone could develop if the water temperature is in the very upper 70s. All right, Gulf Stream, definitely running a little warm, 28 degrees Celsius. Even towards the end of the Gulf Stream, even that far north, it's 80 degrees because of that Gulf Stream, that warm ocean water current. Out in the tropical Atlantic, all right, if you watched my past few hurricane videos, my hurricane discussions, you would have saw that we have a little area of blue here, but that has since faded away and been replaced by a large area of actually above average waters, anywhere from 1 to 2.5 degrees Celsius above average across much of the MDR and the East Tropical Atlantic. There are a couple spots where we are closer to average, but that's okay. All right, average is always good. Still pretty warm. When we look at the actual ocean temperatures, though, notice how we're starting to get a lot closer to 80. The 80-degree waters are starting to advance to the east and to the north. Eventually, this area is going to be overtaken by 80-degree waters. This whole area is going to be overtaken eventually by August and September when our waters get to our warmest. But by the Cape Verde Islands, we're still in the upper 70s right now in terms of ocean water. But we're going to be getting to 80s by the beginning of July. I think we'll be getting there pretty soon. How's the Caribbean doing in terms of ocean temperature anomalies? We're running nearly a half a degree above average for the Caribbean, so the Caribbean is doing very well right now in terms of the ocean water. And we know that the warmer the ocean water, the more sustainable, more powerful of a hurricane we can develop. Atlantic MDR is doing very well as well, and also nearly a half a degree above average, just like the Caribbean. MDR is doing very well. This map, okay, the North Atlantic is not as relevant, but I still show it anyway because that's where some of our subtropical cyclones can develop. Where it's not fully tropical cyclone, but it's more of a low pressure system, but it can be a half tropical cyclone. But Even the North Atlantic, where it's typically cold, we're still close to the average, even in the North Atlantic. Remember, for the North Atlantic, they take ocean temperature samples from like near Greenland. We're talking about the entire North Atlantic, so that's why. But even the East Tropical Atlantic, we're running more than a third of a degree above average there as well. So a lot of our, oceanic regions are actually doing pretty well. And finally, the Nino 3-4 index, we were dropping close to La Nina. We're back to more of a neutral state. We're starting to climb up a little bit. Obviously, higher we are, the more we have an El Nino. Lower we are, it's more of a La Nina. Right now, we're in a neutral. And we'll probably be staying there. But a big jump here. Over a degree, or actually 2 degrees Celsius jump almost in the Nino 3-4 index. A 2 degree Celsius plunge in just a matter of a month or month and a half. So that's a pretty significant plunge that we had. Here's our tropical intensity index here. And as you can see, we still have some favorable to even highly favorable conditions for development for the eastern Gulf of Mexico, the eastern half of the Gulf, as well as the northeastern Gulf of Mexico. We have some highly favorable conditions for development, as well as by the islands here, even parts of northeastern Caribbean, western Atlantic, even closer to Central America. We got some highly favorable development conditions, as well as the southwestern corner of the Bay of Campeche. But overall, we still got some areas like the Western Gulf and the Northwestern Caribbean that still need a little bit of work, that we're still seeing some unfavorable to highly unfavorable conditions indicated by the green and the yellow. When we look at our 26.5 degree isotherms, I know I showed you this guy's map. I've showed you guys, this map a lot before. But to those of you new viewers there, I will explain it. So basically, what this map is saying, we know that when a hurricane develops, we want ocean surface temperatures to be 80 degrees or higher. All right, obviously we know that in Fahrenheit. Now, the question is, what this map is showing us is how far under the ocean surface can we get and still see those 80 degree ocean waters? Because we know that if the ocean water is 80 degrees at the surface and subsurface, it really helps to develop that hurricane even more. All right, so let's explain here. So let me show you the map. And just south of Cuba, we have 125 to 175 meters on the isotherms, which means we could probably go about 500 feet or so, 500 feet underground, underwater, underneath the ocean surface, and still see ocean temperatures of 80 degrees plus. And that's incredible, because we know that usually when we get closer to the ocean floor, it gets a little colder. All right, so that is pretty remarkable for the Northwestern Caribbean. TCHP, this is pretty self-explanatory. This stands for Tropical Cyclonic Heat Potential. All right, that's what TCHP means. And the higher we are, the more heat we have. And oh man, do we have a lot of tropical cyclonic heat out there. All right, especially just south of Cuba, just south of Haiti. We have a huge chunk of like an abomination of heat, of tropical cyclonic heat. Not just the hot air, but get the hot ocean water, and there's just a lot of heat energy out there to really fuel those hurricanes. So that's another check mark there. Now, here's the same map I showed you. The same map, the 26.5 degree isotherm that I showed you here, except this time we're looking at the Gulf of Mexico, just a different region this time. And some parts of the Gulf of Mexico, most of the Gulf of Mexico, you can go about 50 to 75 meters. So most of the Gulf of Mexico, you can go about 150, 215 feet underground or under the ocean surface and still see waters of 80 degrees plus. But there is a little patch here of yellow, meaning you can go about 300 feet below the ocean surface and still see some 80 degree waters. All right, but you have a little blue area as well, which means we may only go 20 meters or 60 feet below the surface and find 80 degree waters. So obviously, if the greens means the green color means we can go farther underground and still see 80 degree waters, which is better for hurricanes. But what's even better is what we see here in the Caribbean. Some of that energy can hopefully start spilling into the Gulf of Mexico as we head throughout hurricane season. So that's something we're going to be watching as well. In terms of tropical cyclonic heat, obviously this is the latest updates here. You can see Bay of Campeche, we have some cyclonic heat. Some of the energy from the Caribbean, some of the cyclonic heat from the Caribbean is starting to spill into the Gulf of Mexico. So can't wait to see the day when we're going to start to see all this heat just spilling in here. And I know this has been a hot topic for a while. The Sahara Dust that has been blowing, it was a huge chunk. And I saw this, I first noticed this a while ago actually, about a week ago, my last hurricane discussion video. I saw this huge mass. You guys saw it live too. I mean, it was a huge white mass, which if you look, white is at the top of the graph for the most dust. If you look on the graph right here. All right, so when we look at this, the Sahara, I even recorded a little video clip of I'll show you guys next here. I'll show you guys like a little loop of where the Sahara Dust could go, like a little forecast. But Here's our Sahara Dust that's breaking off, and there's even another surge coming behind next. We got first surge is going to come here, and first surge that comes here. So what this is going to do is there's going to be a huge chunk of dry air, but this could even help actually lower the dry air. I know this sounds kind of backwards, but the wind shear is actually going to be a little bit calm because the air is so stable that the wind shear might actually calm down a little bit. So I'll be showing you that this could have a pro effect at hurricane season. But as for right now, we know that dry air is going to keep down any tropical activity, and that's what this huge plume of dry air is going to do. We got number 1 and number 2 soon to follow behind that. So let me record a little video clip for you guys, or actually let me show you the video clip. I already recorded it. But before I do, I just want to show you guys that the Caribbean, well, for now, until that plume of dust gets here, Caribbean isn't doing too bad, neither is the Gulf of Mexico. And as for the Western Atlantic, there's not much dry air where that tropical disturbance is. So it's having a bit of a good time there right now. But let me show you the video clip now here, guys. And I don't know why, because why the Bandicam thing up there is like that. I did not record it like this. It did not look like this at first when I recorded it. I apologize for that. But it zoomed in on the region that I want you guys to see. So that's the good news. So here's a dry air starting to make in the Gulf of Mexico. Some extreme dry air coming into Port-au-Prince here. All right, and here's a dry air. All right, this is obviously, I don't know if you guys can see that, but this is the 23rd now, and then that's when the loop ends on the 23rd. So this goes out about 3 days, and that's it. So I'll run through the loop again with you guys. So this will be heading to the southeast United States by the 23rd to the 25th. Will be arriving. Shouldn't take very long, but the darker brown is that extreme dry air. And here's your other, even this brown color, this is your real dry air here. All right, this is the 23rd now. We're now on the 23rd in the morning, now the afternoon, and making its way onto the Gulf Coast by the 23rd, 24th, and some extreme dry air in the Caribbean, indicated by that darker brown. This is where it ends here. This ends Sunday. I believe I had no sense of time here, guys. Yes, Tuesday. Sorry, Tuesday, June 23rd. Here is when this ends. All right. So again, this is going to be keeping down our hurricane activity at least for now. Now, wind shear. This is current wind shear, not the forecast. But look at the wind shear out by the Cape Verde Islands, by Africa, where that dry air has moved through. The wind shear has actually started calming down behind that dry air plume. But tropical Atlantic, we still got a lot of wind shear here. Where that tropical disturbance is currently sitting, we do have a lot of wind shear, so that's keeping it apart a little bit. But wind shear across the Western Atlantic has dropped 5 to 20 knots over the past 24 hours, so it's trending down. Look at the northeastern Gulf, though. No wind shear. We have warm ocean water, no dry air, really. So northeastern Gulf is a good place to develop some hurricanes or tropical cyclones right now. Even by the northern parts, like in the islands there, we do have some lower amounts of shear. But Caribbean as a whole, we're running a little bit below average on wind shear as of now, but that can obviously change. As for the tropical Atlantic, we're running a bit above average. Obviously, because with that dry air plume coming through at first, the wind shear is going to go up, and then it's going to start coming down again, which will eventually result in more tropical cyclones as we head through late July. Now, behind that dry air plume, like I said, here's the 22nd of June to the 27th of June. Behind that dry air, look at this. The wind shear is way below average, where it could be 10, even 20, 25 knots of shear below average. And this could result in some tropical cyclones or tropical waves getting even more organized. Here's the 25th to the 30th, again, off the coast of Africa, but right around 20 degrees north latitude, still seeing some below average wind shear. And that starts to fade away. So by this point, by the 28th of June to the 3rd of July, it's just more, some areas are average wind shear, maybe a touch above average of wind shear in some spots. But other than that, pretty much going to be average. And then finally, 1st of July to the 6th of July, it's just pretty much average. Average wind shear across the entire East Tropical Atlantic, pretty much. A couple areas running a bit above average of shear, maybe 6 or 10 knots above average of shear. That's about it. Nothing too significant, but still, I mean, we want below average shear if you want to develop tropical cyclones. That's the total opposite, however, for severe weather. Now, obviously it says June 14th. This obviously stayed the same, so it's June 20th. But obviously my forecast for the remainder of the season hasn't changed yet. So 12 to 18 named storms, 8 to 12 hurricanes, 3 to 7 major hurricanes on an average entire season. This forecast is for the remainder of the season. This leaves out the storms you've already had. So really, the entire forecast for the season will be 15 to 21 named storms, 11 to 15. Right? Did I do that right? Yeah, 11 to 15 hurricanes. Oh no, sorry. The forecast for the entire season would be 12 to 18 named storms, 8 to 12 hurricanes, 3 to 7 major hurricanes. If you want the full forecast for the entire hurricane season, my 8th hurricane season video is right there in the top right corner of your screen. All right, but Normally, the entire season, we get about 12 main storms, 6 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. So we're definitely running ahead of schedule as of now. Definitely trending towards an above average season. Now, high pressure blocking over the northeast. Again, I show you guys this all the time. Definitely going to steer as tropical storms, possibly towards the United States here. This is something we'll be keeping our eyes on, definitely. So, thank you for watching today's video, guys. I am Dude signing off. Till next time, I'll catch you guys next video.